Mike Bond here in Las Vegas with Ray Sadeghi, Floyd Mayweather bodyguard extraordinaire. Ray, man, it's interesting times right now. Of course, man, like we have a Conor McGregor fight this weekend in Las Vegas, Saturday night, and of course, his name comes up. Floyd Mayweather gets tied into it. So, I mean, I guess just first of all, are you surprised to see Conor McGregor back fighting? He made so much money fighting Floyd. A lot of people thought he was gonna be gone for good, but here he is, back fighting in the UFC again here in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Hey guys, what's going on? Yeah, it's an exciting weekend. I mean, Conor is back on action again, and I guess he said that he made a lot of money. But he spent a lot, I guess, anyway. So he lost all those money. So he got to fight again. But one thing we do know, yes, he does want to fight Floyd Mayweather. But is Floyd ready for him? For that, you guys have to wait and tune in and see what happened. But at the end of the day, fighting Floyd Mayweather is whether you lose or you're gonna get your money. So fighting Floyd, everyone knows fighting Floyd is winning lottery.
Yeah. 100%. And I mean, it seems like Floyd is going to be coming back and competing in some facet. Dana White has made it pretty clear. They were at that Lakers game sitting side by just chance, more or less, and then it seems they came to some sort of handshake agreement. And Dana has expressed that he thinks them doing business together is the ultimate way to maximize profits for all of them. I mean, has Floyd expressed to you anything about this? What maybe his intentions are in the coming months, coming year in 2020?
Absolutely, they had a beautiful talk at the Lakers games, and I was very fortunate to be there and be at the action, and it just happened out of nowhere, and they had a great talk, and it will be some action this year for sure. But do I know who is going to fight or who's going to be the next opponent for Floyd Mayweather? That is not clear, and that's up to Floyd Mayweather and Dana White, and they're negotiating as we talk.
Yeah, and of course, you don't have to give us insight on maybe exactly what's happening. It doesn't seem exactly that we know for sure what's going to happen, but like you as someone who's been around Floyd so much, what would you like to see him do? There's some talk out there too that maybe Manny Pacquiao is the fight they run back, and with a UFC backing the way they know how to promote fights, it could maybe be even bigger than the first fight. Do you think that's something that Floyd is maybe considering or wants to do again?
I mean, is Floyd's going to come back? That I cannot guarantee, because Floyd into that level in his life that he doesn't have to fight. So he made $billions of dollars just by fighting, and he's still the number one athlete of the year. So Floyd doesn't have to fight, but does he want to fight? That's once again is up to Floyd, and the negotiation right now is between Floyd Mayweather and Dana White. As far as Pacquiao, I believe that Pacquiao is under Mr. Mayweather, hand, and is that fight gonna happen or not? That I'm not sure about, and I can't say anything about that right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned it right there. I mean, Floyd, Forbes put out that list. He was the number one highest earning fighter of the decade from 2010 to 2020. So, like in your mind, what's left him to prove? I mean, you're wearing the hat right there, 50-0. That's a nice round, perfect, beautiful number and everything. Like he clearly has the money. He's not getting younger every day. What's the motivation? What would be any reason for him? Of course, more money is always great, but like, why? What does he have to prove? What would be the purpose of even getting back in there for, regardless of opponent, regardless of date, anything like that? What do you see, as someone who's close to him, as the benefit of that?
I think the only thing I see, as I said, Floyd doesn't have to prove to anyone anything. He's been proving it for numbers don't lie. He's been proving it for over 2 decades, and 50-0, that's just a number, and numbers will never lie. But Floyd doesn't have to prove anything, but as a fighter, you always have that passion for fighting, and the only thing that I'm thinking that it's just a passion for fight, and give an audience, give the people, the community back, because when Floyd fights, he generates millions and millions of dollars, not only in the city of Las Vegas, all around the U.S. and globe.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we kind of started off talking a little about Conor McGregor. He's made it very clear, he not only wants that rematch, but he truly believes it's going to happen, and he truly believes it would be a different result because he makes all these claims that, he was preparing for a Floyd that was going to be, defensive, backing up, and he was caught off guard when he decided to kind of come forward in those later rounds when he eventually finished the fight. Is there any scenario where you could imagine if a fight between Conor and Floyd did happen again, that the result would be any different?
I mean, Conor, at the end of the day, Conor talks a lot, and one thing that we do know, Conor talk a lot, and he hasn't backed it up. So he can say, "Oh, he did this in the beginning. He did this on the third round." One thing we do know, as a fighter, everybody start off fresh and start off strong. But as the rounds goes on and on, then it'll show the true color of who's the real fighter and who's the more skilled fighter. And one thing we do know, Conor, you can say what you want to say, but you got knocked out and you had a severe head trauma concussion that it was reported by your doctor. So is the outcome going to be the same? I mean, that, I truly believe that no one can outbox Floyd, and that's not because I work for Floyd. It just his offense and his defense and his technique this man is just made for this and is in his blood, and his dad, his uncles, they've been in this for decades, and he's been doing it since I was a little boy, and it just kind of, you can try, if that fight happens between, the negotiation goes that you guys gonna put it together and the fight's gonna happen. Do I love to see that? Absolutely. If the result gonna be the same, I don't know, but it's gonna give us, it's gonna be a very exciting fight, and I'm sure Conor gonna come up stronger, but you cannot underestimate the best ever.
Can you give us any insight into that first fight? I mean, everyone seems to feel that, maybe Floyd was, carrying the fight a little bit on. And, it seemed like when he decided to turn it on, that's when things went really badly for Conor. Like, in the years since that fight has happened, has Floyd ever given you insight into what his exact strategy was that night when they fought? And, Conor seems to think it was a tactical error on his behalf. But do you think it was more just Floyd, trying to make that about, and when he decided he wanted to turn up the heat, we saw what happened?
Absolutely. I mean, if Floyd would have gone in there and just knock Conor out in the first and second round, people are going to say, "Oh, this fight was fixed. It's bullshit. Conor is not a boxer, this and that." But then Floyd Floyd is a very calculated man, especially in his sport. You cannot mess with Floyd. And that was kind of planned for Floyd, just to let him have fun, let Conor think that he's winning and let him have fun a little bit. And then he was like, "All right, enough is enough. I'm going to knock you out," which is it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, interesting times for sure.
Conor, at the end of the day, you can say what you want to say, but I know that you want to fight Floyd again, and who wouldn't want to fight Floyd? I mean, shit. Put me in that position, I'll fight Floyd. Shit. I want to make another $80 million. Why not? But, I hope this fight happens. And, Conor, he's an unbelievable fighter. He's a stand-up guy. He's a great fighter. And I wish him the best of luck tomorrow. And hopefully he does great, because this is a very, very big fight for him, and I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, and last thing on Floyd, can you give us any insight into, you spend lots of time around him. How much is he actually training right now? How often is he in the gym working on his craft compared to, him enjoying his life, enjoying his riches, all that kind of stuff? Like, where is he, physically, in terms of, obviously the skills are there, but, keeping those sharp?
As I said, Floyd's been doing it for over 22 years on his life, and that's a very, very long time to be undefeated, to be 50-0 is, it's a crazy number. And he does have a certain process, certain diet, and certain exercises that he does, so that it keeps him, he's still running, and he's still doing a little bit of workout here and there just to stay in shape, and not just only for him for the be prepared for the next fight. It's also for his well-being mentally and physically.
Sure. And Floyd is obviously he's doing his thing too, but he's also involved on the UFC MMA side of things as a manager. He is working with UFC middleweight Makhmudov, who's 2-0 in the UFC. Doing great things so far. Came off a big win in UFC DC, knocked the guy's mouth guard out of the cage. It went flying past us on press row. It was crazy, man. It almost hit us. It was nuts. And spectacular knockout. This guy to me seems like a guy who has tons of potential in the middleweight division. Could why has Floyd decided to dip his toe in MMA management?
Well, Mahmoud, the story about Mahmoud is Mahmoud been my friend for a long time, and Mahmoud been around the TMT lifestyle, Floyd and me, for a very long time. He been going to the places, in the Floyd's Mayweather jet, private jet, places, different cities, different countries, and he experienced that lifestyle. And I always told Mahmoud, I said, Mahmoud, I saw a very great potential in Mahmoud, and I saw what kind of great fighter he is. And I told him that. I said, Mahmoud, we got to get you to the next level. I need you to be more sharper and stand up, so we can get you to the next level. And then Floyd just started watching him, and he saw a lot of potential in him, and he even posted him on his social media, and he said one of the greatest fighter in MMA. And Floyd might not be an MMA guy, but Floyd is a fighter. So is at the end of the day, this is a sport of fight, and whether you're an MMA guy or boxer fight, you know who's a fighter, who's not. And for the moment that Floyd starts seeing the Mahmoud, he saw a lot of potential, and he's a very stand-up guy, very humble, very caring guy, and he has unbelievable followers outside the United States or in America. People love him, and he just made for that. And Floyd, he said, "I'm stand behind you." And Floyd is Mahmoud's manager, and which hopefully that will bring more excitement to the middleweight fight division in UFC.
Yeah, why? Do you think that's kind of like a one-off in that sense? As far as does Floyd have any intention, expanding his horizons in terms of working with other fighters, or just because of the relationship you had with Mahmoud and how that all came together? The story you just told, is this just a very special circumstance in terms of him working with this guy?
We never know what future holds, but I would like to see Floyd get involved into UFC and put the UFC and boxing in some kind of both of this boxing and UFC joined, and I would like to see Floyd do more things in the future with UFC, and I'm sure it's gonna happen. And that could be the start off of everything. So we don't know what future holds, but is this gonna happen, and is something great gonna come out of it? I hope so, and I think it will.
Yeah, do you think, obviously UFC and boxing business models are so different in how they come up. You could have all the hype in the world, but like if you're a new guy coming in, they have very kind of standard base pay and all that kind of stuff. Do you think Floyd working with a guy like Mahmoud, his business savvy, obviously, he's done extremely well for himself and getting a lot of opportunity in his own career. Can that expertise help someone like Mahmoud maybe get bigger opportunities, make more money that maybe, other fighters in the same position couldn't get, just because Floyd knows the game, the business side of things so well?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, Floyd is a promoter also. As we have the huge Mayweather promotion, and all his fighters, they're making, for example, Javante Davis or Badujah, they're making millions of dollars, and so he knows the business. So whether it's a boxing business or a MMA business, Floyd is made for this, so he knows the game and he knows the drill, and I'm sure there's going to be time that Mahmoud's is gonna make millions of dollars, and who don't want Floyd to be his manager, or someone like Floyd Mayweather, #1 in the world, the champion of the world, to be behind and support him. I would love to.
Sure. And the last thing, we're in Las Vegas. You know, it's a betting town. You said you don't know what the future is going to hold. Anything can happen. But if I was to ask you right now, if you were to put your money on yes or no, do we see Floyd Mayweather compete in boxing, whatever the case may be? Do we see him competing in some sort of fashion in 2020?
Once again, I can't really tell you that. You guys have to wait for that. But there's a lot of great things coming this year, and you guys have to stay tuned. And Floyd has a very, very exciting news coming up this year, and it's going to be, he might come back. So let's just wait and hope for the best. And who don't want Floyd to fight? I would love to watch Floyd fight. And every time Floyd fight in the city of Las Vegas, everywhere people make thousands of dollars, and he generates so much money to this city, and people in Las Vegas, they love him. I love him, and it would be great to see Floyd come back. And there's a lot of great things coming up in 2020. You guys have to stay tuned.